Hello and welcome to another episode of Housing is a Human Right, the public access show of the Greater Newark HUD Tenants Coalition. Today we have a very special guest and host, Miss Merceda Gooding. How are you, Miss Gooding?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. I'm very happy to be here today. As we know, or as some folks in Newark know, you have been organizing with the New Jersey HUD Tenants Coalition for several years. And people in Newark hold you dear to our hearts because you were very familiar with our founder, Mr. Frank Hutchins.
Yes, I was.
When did you meet Mr. Hutchins?
I met him around 2000, the year of 2000, when I became the president here in Lighthouse Plaza.
And how did you two come in contact?
Well, we was having initial problems here. We had new management, and I found his name on a HUD website. And it was 3 people I had to pick from. So he was the first person I picked from, and he did respond back to me immediately.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that you picked the right person.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people at home probably know now that the corner of Custer and Elizabeth Avenue has recently been named after him. And you participated in that event, correct? The memorial?
Yes, the council president, Mildred Crump, had invited me to come speak on behalf of Mr. Frank street naming. I wanted to make sure that everyone in Newark knows that Mr. Frank was very much involved with Atlantic City and how he helped us organize this city together with tenants.
And we're very happy and grateful that you allow us to be here with you today in your apartment in Atlantic City. And so where are we right now?
Well, right now I'm in the process of moving because my car's been recently firebombed where I live at.
How long ago was that?
That happened January the 30th of 2010.
So this year?
This year, yes.
And what exactly happened? Who do you have an idea of why or how your car was firebombed? It was 2 cars?
Well, what happened was actually the arson started with my first car, and the other car that was parked beside my first car, the fire inflated into that car. So it was both of my cars that was basically fired, bombed.
What you said that it's because of your advocacy. What exactly did you do that you think might have caused someone to do something so terrible?
Well, first of all, I'm very aggressive. I speak my mind. I speak on the rights on the low-income community, to the politicians, to agencies, and I'm very open with that. And I do believe, because I'm an independent thinker and you can't buy me, that, you know, what happened to my cars was just a statement to say, stop what you're doing.
And we also have to take into consideration here that as in a project-based Section 8 building, you have the 24 CFR 245, which would guarantee you a right to organizing. There's a similar one for public housing. But as a Section 8 voucher holder, what are your rights to organize?
Well, in this building, we don't have the CFR 245 anymore because we're not project-based Section 8 anymore. We just have voucher residents, and we have market value residents here in this building. So we basically go by our rights to organize under the New Jersey law. As a Section 8 voucher holder, that's why I went to Washington. I was invited by Shaun Donavan to come down there so I could legislate some policies to him to change that, because we do have Section 8 residents that lives in buildings, and we need to have federal regs to support us and govern our organization. So right now, we base our organization on New Jersey law, period.
Well, it's also very commendable. You know, if at one point this was a project-based Section 8, is that correct?
Yes.
So for you to have gone to that transition, it's very well known that Section 8 voucher holders are the most difficult tenants to organize. So to see that you are that much of a threat is very telling of what's going on here in Atlantic City, what landlords see, and you know, how important it is for the federal government to actually start paying attention to some of these issues. Tell us a bit more about what happened in Washington.
Well, in Washington, what they're trying to do is implement a new program called TRA, Transforming Rental Assistance. That's something familiar with welfare. They have a TRA program. So I didn't know for sure what the federal government was trying to do. So what they're trying to do now is to bring all tenants together. What the
All tenants being project-based Section 8 voucher holders
Right.
and subsidized.
and public housing.
Public housing.
Right. And still yet, Section 8 voucher holders do not have federal regs to be governed. And by me being a Section 8 voucher holder, that's what I wanted to address. Because my issue with the Atlanta City Housing Authority explaining to them my rights to organize is a problem, because they tell us we're not public housing residents. But under the federal law, if you read it under the CFR, we are under that. But, you know, it's just so much political controversy with that.
So anyone at home, if you are a Section 8 voucher holder, if you live in public housing, if you are in a privately owned subsidized building that has project-based Section 8, or that the HUD insures the mortgage, you should know that your rights are at risk right now. By merging the three programs, which one of the three rights are we actually going to start assuming? And who's going to protect it? Is it going to be the Housing Authority? Is it going to be NJHMFA here in New Jersey, or the different state organizations? Or is it going to be HUD? You know, these are the answers that we need to get down to before the federal government decides to change housing as we know it.
Exactly. And my other issue, too, we have residents here that are market value residents as well. So we all in the same family, and not only DCA. So you got to look at the whole picture, because we all live here together with the same common problems. So we need to address that as well. And I would like to be known as an advocate for all the people, not only Section 8 voucher residents, even though I am a Section 8 voucher holder. But I believe that Shaun Donavan needed to take in consideration of all the people that is living together in one community, and how we could come together for the special interests of the tenants.
Absolutely, that's wonderful. I think it is time for the tenants at a nationwide level to really start coming together. I think that economically sometimes we've kept apart, or because of geographically we've been kept apart. Now it's time more than ever to really come together and start demanding our rights. What activities or what have you done here to establish your rights as a tenant and as an advocate in this building or across Atlantic City? What did you do with Frank to get that done?
Well, what happened so far during the time with Mr. Frank, he basically sent me to a lot of training about the federal law. I mean, I had to learn, just like anybody else going to school, about the federal law, can you cut for a minute?
So what are some of the ways in which you had advocated here in Atlantic City, New Jersey? What ways did you advocate within this building, or how did you start off doing that with Frank?
Well, anyway, he sent me back to school, housing school, to learn federal housing laws. I had to learn like a regular 2-year-old, going back to school, learning how to read and write. So he taught me the basics of the housing laws. So what happened was, after that, initially, when I empowered my own self with that, I use it as a force to bring people together here in Atlantic City. Since then, we came together, all 36 tenants associations. We formulated a board, and we started advocating for our rights, and Mr. Frank come down monthly to oversee the whole process. Out of all of that, I became a commissioner of the Atlanta City Housing Authority. I also became a board member of Landlord and Tenant Affair Board at City of Atlantic City. I learned